So the corruption scandals, which I touched on very briefly previously, what's basically happened is that everybody knows India has an issue with graft and corruption. It's fairly well widespread throughout society and at all levels of society. What we'd never seen, though, in the past was scandals erupting about the upper echelons of the government. So we've recently, a couple of years back, the telecoms minister was convicted of mass corruption in how he awarded telecoms licenses, and he was sent to jail. And the overall, I think that's very positive from a governance perspective. But what it led to in the short term was what I always classify as the interface between government and business breaking down. In the past, business knew if it wanted to get something from government, it knew how to react. They knew the buttons they needed to press. They knew, that's just how it was. What happened was after these scandals had erupted, was that bureaucrats decided there's no way I'm approving any project, because if there's been some even low-level corruption lower down the chain, they're going to come after me. So what happened was you saw a collapse in investment, you saw a collapse in government spending in certain key sectors of the economy, which led to the growth slowdown. So you could argue it's been quite a costly exercise, this corruption expose, and if you like, the end of crony capitalism in India. So in the short term it's hurt, but I think in the medium to long term it is a great thing that these sort of scandals are being exposed. And I think after 3 to 4 years of this problem going on, I think government is now beginning to re-establish ways of doing business, with the private sector in a much more cleaner and transparent manner. So that is certainly much better news, but we've still got the whole issue with graft and corruption in India is still an issue that will take a long time to resolve. But overall, I think it's a great thing that's been happening, from a more medium to longer term story. So it is good news. Thing was, in the past, and we're currently, even in the present, when we look at companies that we invest in, we've tended to avoid companies that have a great deal of involvement with the government sector. So by saying that is, if buying, for example, a commodity company which relies on getting permits to mine or to get a permit to get the license, if you like, to mine. It's just because that's where the opportunity for graft opens up. And for us, that's always been a slightly difficult area, because when we look at companies, we want to see long-term, fundamental drivers to own those companies. We want to see a good management platform and a good strategy. We want to see longevity in what the company is trying to do. If you're relying and you've built a company up on one basis alone, which is on who you know as opposed to what you know, of course, if that person leaves, then the whole business case for owning that company, is gone. So we don't want to go near that sort of stuff. So we very much focused on, if you like, the more quality end of the spectrum, because there are plenty of really top quality Indian companies who just simply don't play this silly game. And there's plenty of sectors also which have done incredibly well over the last 5 or 10 years that haven't had much involvement with government. And one of them you can highlight would be the IT sector, the sort of business processing outsourcing area, and all these other areas which India has become very renowned for. Those sectors have had a very light touch from government, which has to be applauded. It's got to be said from government. And they've become powerhouses in their sectors, and they employ a huge amount of people and have become very important. So we've tended to focus on those areas, and I think we probably still will tend to focus on them, going forward. But overall, certain segments of the sectors or Indian corporates have struggled a little bit, but then there's been quite a few sectors and other areas which actually have never done better. And we've just tried to focus our attention on the latter sort of areas, which we still find very attractive companies.